Hi, this is Krishnamurthy, your CISSP coach. I welcome you to this video on laws from Domain 1. I will cover OECD, GLBA and SOX in this video. I am sure you would have definitely filled up a form like this, where giving your name, address, phone number, email IDs, whatnot, right? Have you ever wondered, after you give away all this data like your name, phone number, date of birth, PAN card, everything, all those details, how this data is stored, used, okay? And even if you want to change any of the data like your address or even a phone number, is there a way to do it? And that is what is covered in OECD. OECD is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. But here the context is when you as an organization collect data from your subject, okay, how you should collect it, where you should store, for which purpose you can use it, and even when some data really changes, whether the subject is able to participate and even edit or delete the data. And overall, what is the accountability from your organization when you collect such private information? Right? That is the context. First one is collection limitation. Here you can collect only the necessary data for the purpose from your subject, and please don't use any social engineering, okay, or any other means to collect the data. The subject should be completely aware that you are collecting some data that will be recorded, stored in some medium. Data quality. Once you collect the data, that should be anyway first relevant for the purpose for which the data is collected. The data should be complete, accurate and up to date. Now there can be an address that is changed, age that is increasing, whatever can change, right? So how are you going to maintain the data quality? There should be a policy and that should be followed. Third one is purpose. Now when you collect the data from the subject, you should very clearly define, explain the purpose for which the data is being collected. Fourth one is use limitation. When you collect the data, you can use only for the purpose for which it is collected. You cannot use it for some other purpose, marketing email without their consent, or you cannot sell the data to other organizations, your sister concerns, etc. The fifth one is security safeguard. Yes, you are collecting privacy information and enough security controls should be in place to protect the data. And you also should be having enough controls to protect the unauthorized disclosure, use and modification. And for everything there should be a policy. The policy should be open. The policy should be open and it should state very clearly how the data is collected, used and stored. The seventh point is individual participation, where you allow the subject from whom you collected the data, okay, to see what data you are maintaining. If it requires any update, worst case delete. Now eighth one is accountability, where the data controller is ultimately accountable to implement all the above 7 principles. So eighth is not a separate point. So it actually says all the 7 points above we have discussed should be properly executed. That is OECD. In OECD, we discussed about the privacy information organizations collect from the subject and how they can use. On the other hand, GLBA regulates how financial service organizations use and protect financial information. The second point is very important. Whatever is the privacy practice followed by the organization, that should be very clearly given to the customers, because the customer doesn't like the privacy practice of the organization. They should be able to opt out, meaning if the organization is giving away some non-public personal information, okay, like your salary or the amount of loan you have taken, your EMI data, or maybe any credit card bounces you might have. That non-public personal information, if the organization is sharing with any other third party, you should know about it and you should have the right to opt out, you as in the subject. The third act we will see today is SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Financial scandals that happened during 2000 in the companies like Enron and Tyco are the background of this act. And in 2002, US Congress really passed the SOX Act. SOX is to protect shareholders and the general public from accounting error and fraudulent practices in enterprises and to improve the accuracy of corporate disclosure. Okay, so which companies are in scope? US companies and non-US companies with the US presence. And there are four principal areas. One is corporate responsibility, increased criminal punishment, accounting regulation, and new protections. How it solves the problem? Corporate responsibility. CFO and CEO must review all financial reports. Reports should not contain any misrepresentation. Now, CEO and CFO are directly responsible if there is any fraud. Stringent record keeping. The Act created strict rules for accountant, auditors, and corporate officers and imposed more stringent record keeping requirement. The penalty is for the personnel, not for the organization. And here the penalty is for the personnel. Yes, the 5 million or 20 years jail is directly for the CEO and CFO. So they cannot now say, I did not see it or I did not know, because now they are personally liable for this 5 million or 20-year jail penalty. So in the next video, I will cover about data directive and GDPR. I am really happy to be part of your CISSP journey. This is Krishnamurthy. Thank you.